done a hot topic for a while, but it seems like a good category to put this video that we have from yesterday from the rally in support of Palestine, the rally in Edinburgh. Started off in front of St Giles, which I think it was meant to be the Mound, and obviously it got changed. And I thought putting it in front of, I mean, it's right in front of the main doors of St Giles Cathedral. I thought that was actually a better spot for it. And,
yes, I thought so.
I mean, obviously it made it easier for the police and everything kind of looking after us, because you just had to go right down the Royal Mile down to Colonial headquarters. I looked that up. I looked up to see how that actually describes itself, and it describes itself as a flagship UK government hub in Edinburgh, but we call it Colonial headquarters.
It was sort of a two-part march. We started off at St Giles, we did the march down as far as Colonial headquarters, and we recorded the speeches. It then went on to Bute House, which is the official residence of the First Minister. We weren't able to do that part of the march, so we did miss a couple of the speeches that took place there. Don't know if anybody else has recorded them. If so, put a note in the comments, and we'll put a link. But
put a link in, yeah.
But this is what we got, and I think it really shows the flavour of the mood of the day. I mean, they're always very colourful and very energetic, these kind of demos. People are really furious, actually, just at what's happening, and the fact that our governments, or the Westminster one in particular, appears to be complicit in it. Never mind, can we say that?
Well, who cares? Let's say it. You know, I mean, actually, the UK government, they keep saying Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah, of course. But what's that got to do with what they're doing now? And I found Tommy Sheppard's and Lesley Riddoch's were good speeches, but the ones that moved me were the ones by a Palestinian woman. You wouldn't have seen this, but where I was sitting in the plaza in front of Colonial headquarters, there was a woman, and she had a sort of stick. So if you imagine like a meter stick, and from the top of it, there were just hanging little kids' shoes, just little plastic shoes. And actually, I have got a picture. I've got a photo. Actually, we could put it up right now.
Oh gosh, I saw that in your the photos you'd give me. I didn't realise that's what it was.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I was sitting just behind her, and it's just it's such a poignant but immediate kind of way of saying, let's just stop and think what's happening. There's a whole generation of children being killed, losing their families. I did find that very moving, and I think you know the name of the Palestinian lady who spoke. What was her name again?
Yeah, it was Doha Abu Amer. She is a lady from Gaza who's currently living in Glasgow, but her relatives, her mother and family, are still in Gaza. I think the numbers are almost overwhelming when you talk about thousands of people, but sometimes when you bring it down to one person and their day-to-day experience, which is what Doha managed to express about her 83-year-old mother. I think she was being shifted from place to place, and not knowing if starvation was going to take them in the next day or two. That somehow is it's easier to sort of relate to a person you can imagine rather than these huge numbers.
Yes, I mean, imagine if it was your mum, Fiona.
Yes, indeed.
It's just heartrending, and and then, as you say, they went along to Bute House. I mean, I've just been writing up a post for our blog, and I had a wee look online to find out just what John Swinney and SNP and Scott Gov have been saying, and they've certainly been visible in opposing what's happening in Gaza and opposing actually what's happening in the line taken by London. Kokab Stewart, who's the Equalities Minister, she wrote a letter to her equivalent in the UK government just at the end of last year, sort of saying, look, let's have a visa scheme that lets Palestinians come into Britain to join their families here. And I don't think that's happened.
No, and that was one of the points that Doha made. You've done that for the Ukrainians. Why is it different for the Palestinians?
Exactly. I was really pleased we went, and
Yes.
it was just very moving, and actually well done, policemen and policewomen, because none of us got arrested.
I thought the police in Edinburgh were actually very professional, and I think they've got a lot of experience of marches.
Yeah, they do.
Managed to get it the right side of, keeping us safe, keeping everybody else safe, and not rising to the bait, and not throwing their weight around, which policing by consent, that's what we want.
Somehow your socks got into the article by Laura Pollock.
That was funny, and Lynn's earrings as well. No, it was funny because we'd gone to do several things that day, one of which was drop in on the Sir Albert Pipers. Were playing outside the Pipers Rest, and there was a display of the Yes Stones, which our friend and often appears on the podcast, Lynn, was manning that stall. And we happened to bump into Laura Pollock from the National. So we were just chatting about, what is actual support and what can you be hauled up for? And Lynn pointed out she was wearing little watermelon earrings, which of course is a sort of symbol for the Palestinian flag, and I had watermelon socks on. So we appeared in Laura's article as two concerned activists, which of course we are. It's all true.
No, but it is quite a thing, though, isn't it? I mean, it was clear from Lesley Riddoch's speech that she had been thinking about, well, I'm going to go and do this. I wonder what the consequences might be. She'd obviously given it a bit of thought, and and I've got acquaintances of mine who are now saying, well, seeing people down south being arrested, it does make them think twice about going on something like that, because actually this particular chap I know, actually he would lose his job if he got arrested for something, and the trouble is, that's part of the aim, isn't it?
That's what it's for.
Keep people quiet and don't go on these demos. Anyway, that didn't work yesterday in Edinburgh, and I think it was the same over the UK. So well done, everyone.
Well done, everybody. So anyway, this is our perspective on Saturday afternoon in Edinburgh. It was a very atmospheric day, very misty. There was one of those lovely North Sea haars came in. Anyway, we've got the speeches, 3 of the speeches, and we've got most of the march as it came down.
Maybe one thing to add in is that we marched right down, or a good part of the Royal Mile. That meant that there were a lot of tourists from all over the world who saw what was happening, who could read the placards, even if they didn't quite get what it was about to begin with. And I think that's just another aspect to these things, and it's a good aspect. It's good that it's good that happens.
Yes, it is a genocide. UK government is corrupt. Stop the USA Gaza depravity now. Well, we agree with that.
Okay, so now we're back, just coming round to front of St Giles. As you can see, there's a police van, there's several police vans. There's a lot more activity, a lot more Palestine flags. Originally it was going to leave from the Mound, but now we hear the march is leaving from here. Actually, this is quite a good place for it. It's not a crime to act against genocide.
Ready for the rain, are Palestine will be free! 1, 2, 3, 4! 5, 6, 7, 8! 1, 2, 3, 4! 5, 6, 7, 8! Viva, viva! Viva, viva! Palestina! 1, 6, 7, 8! Palestine! Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the sea to the river! Palestine will live forever! So you can put the placards up in the air, and if you don't have them, we can give you more. 22 months
of bloody genocide. 22 months of massacre, and you're still here. You haven't disappeared as the opposition wants. We will march today to Queen Elizabeth House, the lair of the UK government in Edinburgh, in Scotland. You'll hear some excellent speakers, and then we'll march to Bute House. The first place is to declare our opposition to active encouragement of the genocide by Starmer. The second, for what does it mean if you say Israel has a right to deny water? If you say Israel has a right to deny water, you say Israel has a right to deny life itself to the people of Gaza. There is no other interpretation. So friends, we'll chant here. We'll hear speeches at Queen Elizabeth House and at Bute House. But why are we here? We're not here to support Palestine action. We are here against genocide. Against genocide and all those who oppose the genocide actively and to the limit of their ability, and that includes you here today. These are dangerous times. Dangerous times. But we stand together, and we'll continue to stand together. We will never give up on the amazing people of Palestine.
So Bobby's getting ready anyway, getting their bikes ready.
That's the no bikers.
These poor guys that have just had a wedding in St Giles and they've come out to this.
It's going to be drowned out by shouts of genocide, which, you know, is a sobering thought on your wedding day, I suppose.
Yes, I know.
We're going to catch the march going past, so you get an idea of the size of it.
You taking the photo or me taking the photo? I think they're on their way. I can see the banner.
It looks as if they're coming now. The banner's lined up at the front, so we're going to let the march go past, then we'll tag on the end.
Pretty certain that's Lesley at the front.
Probably.
Demo on your wedding.
I mean, it's not that it's such a flaming serious topic. The fact that you've got all sorts in this street.
I know, it's
people on their holidays, people getting married, people out for a day out.
Well, but that's the poignancy of it, isn't it? Because
we're all free to do these things.
Just going about their life, and some of us are being political, and some of us are on summer holidays.
And meanwhile,
we can do it all.
Some people over on the other side of the world, their kids are getting.
St Giles has not had a rocket thud into it.
No, that's true. St Giles could tell some stories, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I've never been
It's
in.
full of ancient flags, sort of up in the roof. Presumably battles, but you know.
Well, it looks like it's got a beautiful stained glass, but you can't see it unless the light needs to go. That's the march starting off.
Free Palestine! Israel
you could do that.
This wee bit comes out, so I mean, you don't get a very good view with this, but you can do a selfie. You know what you're pointing to.
That's good. So is that the new one there? Yeah. Well, it looks smarter than. Well, it looks better than the one that we got from.
I had a chat with
Action is not a crime! 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 Stop this murder! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free! We are the freedom men! We will be
Well, I think it's quite good just to see how much. We can just do it on its own. People like to see themselves, yeah. We'll get it in 10 minutes, it's a TikTok. Look at the clown over there with the balloons filming the march. But actually, if we want to get a good view of the speeches, right, we'll get the big one at the end, yeah. Cool. BBC, etc. are covering this. This might get 10,000 views like the last time.
Israel is a terror state! Occupation no more!
Israel is a terror state! Occupation no more!
Right, we still can't see the end. That's 5 minutes. Colonial headquarters. Empty square at the moment, but we've got the boys in blue are getting ready, and you can hear up the hill. We'll let Nita get in the way.
Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! End apartheid! End apartheid! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Ceasefire now! 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 UK government, you can hide! You're supporting genocide! UK government, you can hide! You're supporting genocide!
I've been speaking in many platforms for the last 2 years, trying to amplify my voice as a Palestinian from Gaza who might survive this genocide, but my family is still trapped there. They're still trapped and they've been internally forced to displace from one area to another maybe more than 10 times for the last 2 years, sorry. And I think the 10 years maybe came to my mind, and this is the right number. It's not only 2 years or 10 years, it's 7 decades. I remember my late father, who was everywhere in Africa, in Algeria, in France, speaking up for Palestine. And I was a little girl, 5 years old, when I remember my dad used to take me to demos to protest, to speak up for Palestine. And here, where I am now, continuing the legacy of my father, and I don't know for how long our generation as Palestinian will continue to call for the liberation, for our justice, and for our freedom. Today, I'm here in front of the UK government building, representing the Gaza Families Reunited campaign alongside my colleague Sabrina and many volunteers who are joining us here. Because for the last 2 years, what we've been calling for is a just, a fair, a dignified scheme for Palestinians in the UK to reunite with our families, to bring them to safety, equal to other nationalities. We've heard Ukrainian, Syrian, Hong Kong, and we were supporting all these schemes because every life matters. Everyone deserves their human rights to be respected, to live in peace and dignity and safety. What we are calling for is a temporary scheme that enables us to reunite with our families until it's safe to return to Palestine, because we all Palestinians have the right to return to our homelands. This is a no question cause for us. We launched a petition, you might manage to see it last year in 2024 when the Tories government was there. And we managed to raise more than 1,000 signatures. And the petition and our call was debated in Westminster. But again, the outcome was zero. The outcome was ignored because Palestinians' life doesn't matter to the UK government. But we won't stop here, and we will continue calling and putting pressures and using all platforms, because this is a human rights issue. It is a humanitarian issue, and we have the right to reunite with our families, to bring our families to safety here in the UK. My mom, she's 85. And for the last 2 years, she's been asked to move from one area to another, and now displaced in a wee tent in Al-Mawasi. Because you know, our town in Khan Yunis this month has been completely flattened, has been completely destroyed. 30,000, the population of my town, they all been pushed toward Al-Mawasi in very tiny seafront area, and they've been there displaced with no access to anything, as you all know. And now starvation is reaching an unexpected level. It's alarming to all of us as a human being that people who were not being killed will now be killed because of the starvation. And I've been getting all the news from my friends and families saying that this might be our last day or 2 days because starvation is killing us all. We've been there, resilient, fighting the bombing, trying to stay in our homeland, to be rooted in our houses, refusing to leave. But now, I think the starvation is going to kill Palestinians in Gaza. So it's time for all of us to continue speaking up, take actions, write to your MP. He has the responsibility. He's representing you in Parliament. He has the responsibility to speak up for your voice, to support Palestinians, to support a scheme that enable Palestinians in the UK to reunite with their families until it's safe to return to Palestine. It's their responsibility to implement safe routes similar of what they did with Ukrainian, with other nationalities. Stop the double standards, the UK government. Stop being ignorant to the Palestinians' rights and act immediately. Listen to our voice.
Thank you, friends. It was my honour to come and address these demonstrations when I was the elected Member of Parliament for this area, and it is my privilege to do so now that I am no longer serving that role. But it is a matter of sadness that the Labour candidate who won that election and took over from me is not present today, and nor are any of the other MPs in this city. Throughout human history, there have been many instances of the most inhumane treatment delivered by one side to another. But it has usually been after the war ends that we understand the full horror of what has gone on. Not so today in the Middle East. Today, in the Middle East, a genocide is being prosecuted in real time, and we are watching it on television day by day. So there is no excuse for anyone who has eyes to see and ears to hear to pretend they do not know what is happening in Gaza and Palestine today. It is therefore the most disgusting aspect of the past 20 months have been so many people, leaders in British society and politics, who have chosen to try and apologise for and justify what Israel is doing in the name of self-defence. It is not self-defence to bomb schools and hospitals. It is a war crime. It is not self-defence to massacre tens of thousands of innocent civilians, most of them women and children. It is a war crime. And it is not self-defence to starve the population when they have to come desperate and hungry to the food queues only to be used for target practice by the IDF. That is a war crime. And if the arguments about what is going on have been disputed over the last 20 months, if when we say this is a genocide, other people have said, oh, we're not sure. Well, what is happening now in the last month is this whole process entering a new phase where things are becoming very, very clear indeed. The plan forward by Minister Israel Katz to build a concentration camp in Rafah for 600,000 civilians and to raise the rest of Gaza to the ground and force them there, that is an explicit act of genocide. And let us understand, my friends, let us understand, Israel Katz is not a fringe fascist in the Israeli cabinet. He is not Ben Gvir or Smotrich. Israel Katz is a prominent member of Likud. If he is saying that, then Netanyahu is saying that. And if Netanyahu is saying that, then Washington has already endorsed that. That is what is happening in front of our eyes today. And that means that the people behind me in this building, those Labour MPs who control what goes on here and what goes on in the Foreign Office, need to wise up to what is happening and understand and respond to this new phase. No more mealy-mouthed words, no more pussyfooting around. It is time to take action. because Israel is now being run by people who are turning it into a rogue state that does not wish or want peace with its neighbours, that sees itself as the undisputed bully of the Middle East and whose only solution to everything is violence. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we stop treating Israel as some sort of normal democratic country. No more sham of Eurovision Song Contest or playing in the Europa League. None of that. This is not a normal democratic country. This is a country that deserves to be isolated diplomatically and politically by everyone else in the world. And it is now time. It is time the British Foreign Office rised up and decided that it will take and break diplomatic relations with the state of Israel. Secondly, it is time now, as it was never time before, to end all arms sales to Israel. Is it not so disappointing that those in the Labour Party promised change before the election and continued the complicity of the British government after it, just as the Tories have done, cancelling less than 10% of the arms contracts? They must all be cancelled and suspended now so that the people of this country are not, in their name, being complicit in the genocide that is going on. Let me just say, that means here in this city, and it was mentioned earlier, that we need to take action against the production in this city of components and technology that is a vital and active part of the war machine that is now crucifying the people of Palestine. So companies like Raytheon and Leonardo, they must become the focus for our protests. And I say to you today, and I say to my colleagues in the Scottish Government, that it is time to think again about the fact that Scottish enterprise has a relationship with these companies. That needs to be ended. It cannot be justified by saying, oh, none of the money goes to produce arms. It's a completely different part of the company, nothing to do with arms exports. Do you remember in the 1970s and 1980s when we fought against apartheid and we campaigned to boycott Barclays? No one said, let's boycott Barclays, but make an exemption when they're funding community projects locally. No, the whole point of boycotting and taking action against a company is to make sure that they understand that their actions in one part of the world have consequences for everything else they do elsewhere. That is how we apply leverage, and that is what we must do as well. But friends, I don't want to take up much more of your time except to say one thing that I've always said at these demonstrations. We know now that there are people who are trying to criminalise and demonise our opposition to the genocide that is happening. And we have to resist that. We have to stand against it. But we have to take them head on. Because they claim that these are hate marches. They claim that we are motivated by hate for people, whereas nothing could be further from the truth. The thing that made us get out of bed this morning and come here was a basic human empathy with our fellow men and women of this world. People who are being brutalized beyond imagination. It is out of love for people that we come here today to make our protest. And that is why we call for a ceasefire. That's why we call for an end to the genocide. And my final point is this. There are still people who claim that we are anti-Semites and that this demonstration is anti-Semitic. And they do that. They do that not because I think they believe it, but because they want to cause confusion in the public's mind. They want to make people think twice about joining demonstrations like this. And it is such a disgusting insult to make to the people who are here today, because I see many faces in this crowd who have been fighting anti-Semitism for generations and who stand against all forms of racism in this society. And let me be clear, when I say Katz and Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben Gvir ought to go to The Hague and be put in jail for war crimes, I don't say that. I don't say that because of the religion they follow. I say it because they are war criminals and they deserve that justice. There is never, and there never can be, any contradiction between fighting anti-Semitism and standing up for the rights of Palestinians. The two go hand in hand, and we will work with Palestinians and Jews to make sure that this injustice, this monstrous injustice against Palestine is ended, and we aim for a secure Middle East where all can live in freedom and in respect.
I'm seeing Aberdeen up the top. Aberdeen. Can you hear? Glasgow. Edinburgh. Leith. Okay, and further north, Dundee. Now this, and sorry to everyone else, this matters. Because I'll tell you, I was at a recent election event and a Labour MP told me that the Gaza efforts that were being made, and remember, there were Gaza MPs elected at the last election, but this was on the night, and he said it's only a middle-class fetish. It's not something that moves the majority of people. And the only reason I'm here today is not wearing any particular badge or hat or status or title. I am devastated. Every time I see what's happening, I am just devastated. And there's an emotion in this which we need to connect with. We're watching children that could be our children, women, you know the list. The horrible situations concocted to trap people without any choice. It's the stuff that my generation thought ended with the last war. And we're watching again as people must choose whether they starve, whether their children do the rabbit run to try and avoid the guns. And all the time we have people representing us supposedly in the British government who simply won't even call this a genocide. The UN acknowledges it. The UN acknowledges it. What point then, the UN, in the eyes of the people in this place? What the ICC, the International Criminal Court, says this is a genocide. Well, what does this place think of the ICC? We have, Baroness Helena Kennedy, a pretty prominent lawyer, who is describing what's proposed as a concentration camp. And these people would not take cognizance of that. The disconnect that is now developing is massive, and whilst it's grief, I've got to say, grief and anger that brings me here today, it's the awareness that a whole new world order is starting too. And it's starting amongst the likes of you who simply will not stand silently by as this continues. We're not going to let it happen, however that can be achieved. When it comes to the question of the silencing that the British state is now imposing, honestly, it's ludicrous. Yesterday, I had to get a solicitor to be able to come here. I had to make sure someone else will go in and feed the cats, because Palestine needs action. Palestine action should not be proscribed along. So this is a crazy situation. Those of us who are old enough remember, and the police are in a dicky situation here, I'm sure. But we can remember situations in the past like this and thought this would never happen again. When people are wondering if the police will arrest someone for wearing a t-shirt. It's ridiculous. So the point is, as everybody here has said, this is a genocide. As everyone is saying here, together, Palestine needs action. And we will all go together on that one. We cannot have a situation like this on our streets. The police in Glasgow police some things very well. They policed the Kenmure Street siege. When the Home Office came for 2 guys and the Scottish police did a reasonable job. Now I'm appealing to the police. I know it's tough. You are moral citizens as well. Do we look like terrorists? We are just people who cannot bear to see this happening in our lifetimes, and we will do everything we can to make sure that this stops. Thank you for coming, and typical weather for Scotland, but this is Scotland's answer, and at the same time there are rallies in London, Cardiff, Belfast, Truro of all places. We are many and getting larger. So thank you for coming, and free Palestine!
After the speeches outside the UK government headquarters, Colonial headquarters as it's known, in Edinburgh, the march continued on down to Bute House, the official residence of the First Minister. We weren't able to go on that part of the march, so we'll leave our coverage here, but hopefully it gives you a flavour of the day and the strength of feeling.
UK government, you can't hide!
2 seconds.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to make sure you're following us and subscribe to us, then you get notified every time we put something new out, so you don't miss anything. That would be great. Also, you can click the little bell if you're watching on YouTube.
And sign up for our mailing list. You can do that from the website, and we always send one out at the beginning of each month to tell you what's happening. Last but not least, you can buy us a coffee on coffee.com.